Hello and welcome back to Energetically You with your host, Megan Swan. I am a wellness and mindset coach, creator of the Sustainable Integrated Wellness Approach. Today I had the privilege of chatting with one of my colleagues, a friend, and just one of the sweetest people on earth. Her name is Lauren, and she is a self-love and relationship coach who helps ambitious women shatter their masculine confines to embody the love, luxury, and life they truly desire. After overcoming an exhausting cycle of people-pleasing, perfectionism, guarding her heart, and hustling for her worth, it has become Lauren's mission to guide women to redefine self-worth, reconnect to their feminine power, and unapologetically become their most loved and loving self. Amazing, right? Through her high-level coaching programs, Lauren has helped several women reclaim their feminine power, embody real self-love, build self-trust, and balance their masculine and feminine energies in work and in relationships. She is one of the sweetest souls, and I can't wait for you to get to know her and her amazing work. So let's dive in. Welcome back to Energetically You. Today I have the privilege of interviewing Lauren Johnston. She is a friend and a colleague. We were together in a mastermind that just ended over a month ago, but she is amazing. She has so much love and light to give. She is a self-love and relationship coach based out of Australia. And I feel like it's Sydney, but she'll tell us in a minute. I'm probably off there. So hello, Lauren, how are you? Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I have been so excited to chat with you and be on this podcast. So I am from Melbourne, Australia. You were close, okay? You were super close. And yeah, I am
I can understand. It's an issue sometimes with people. So nice to get it right on, right? Anyway, tell us about your journey to becoming a self-love and relationship coach. I'm sure it's very interesting.
Yes. So I feel like listeners need to pause, get a nice drink, sit down and listen. It's quite the story, but I will try and keep it as condensed as possible. So it all started for me a few years back. I was a primary school teacher teaching 5-year-olds in the classroom, and I stepped into this job always thinking in my head I would be a teacher. And don't get me wrong, in the work I do now, still am teaching in some ways. But I just thought I would always be working with children. And then my journey took a bit of a different turn. So in growing up, I was always that typical people pleaser and the person that wanted to do all the things, that classic type A, get it all done, be perfect, perfectionist. And that carried through in teaching, which was a good thing in some ways because I got a lot done. I was up, working till midnight, cutting, laminating, doing all the things that you need to do as a teacher. But it was taking its toll on me. And not only in a work sense, but in a personal sense as well. Lack of boundaries in relationships, always overgiving, living in a state of fight or flight all the time. And it took its toll. So the turning point for me to shifting into this work, where I lent into coaching for the first time as a receiver of being coached to work on myself, the turning point was really when I got married in Fiji and I had my honeymoon. And just picture this, beautiful overwater bure, 5-star luxurious resort, and I slept through most of it. I giggle now, but it was not funny then. I was so burnt out and fatigued, and you'd know a lot about this as well. My adrenals were totally shot and I was so tired, and I thought, it's just me slowing down. This must be normal. No, it really wasn't. This went on for a while, and then I developed anxiety about the fact that I was so not on all the time. I came back to Australia and I was really sick. And so I developed stomach issues from being in that stress response. And I think how I like to explain it is it's like my body finally slowed down and everything caught up that I'd been holding on to since like 6 years of age. It's like it all just caught up with me. And so in that space, I was just losing myself. I was binge eating. I was coping through like shopping all the time, overworking, hustling. And I lost my sense of identity. And in my relationship, that took a toll because I didn't know how to express my needs. I didn't know how to feel my emotions. So everything was a frustrated response. And I had such a guarded heart that my partner would try and lean in and I wouldn't be able to receive. And that's why I talk a lot about the feminine and the masculine energy. And that's how I sort of lent into this journey was I thought, I need to do something about this. Like I'm a shell of myself. And on the outside, everyone's like, you've got the job, you've got the man, you've got the money, you're doing the thing. But internally I was suffering. And so I lent into the work by working with a coach and then followed on not long after that, joined a coaching certification. And then from there was in teaching for another 6 months, I think, and then left and went full-time in my business and just I haven't looked back. And so now I help women with their relationship with themselves, being able to balance the masculine and feminine energy so they can have the deep love and the success and not have to sacrifice or do it with burnout and overwhelm. Like we can do it in flow and with joy as well.
Amazing. And you're killing it, right? You're doing so well. So I love how I appreciate all of the struggles that you went through weren't like the prettiest parts of your life at all, but the way that you describe that just reveals that you're a relationship coach. Like there's so much awareness around the way that you walked us through that. So can you tell us, I do want to get to the masculine and feminine energy, but I'm wondering first, can you give us some healthy habits of relationships like that maybe are not as obvious? Because sometimes we just take things for granted, I think.
Yes. I love that. And no one's ever asked me this. And I love this so much because I love to pair like healthy habits with the simplistic things, because I think particularly in the online world, everything's glamorized. When we talk self-love or we talk relationships, like everything's bubble bath, face mask, holidays, do this. We want to create a atmosphere in the relationship, a connection in the relationship where you don't need to escape it. And the way that I have cultivated, I'll speak from my own experience in terms of healthy habits in the relationship, is communication. Like get the communication down pat, like get support to do that. If you struggle to be open, if you struggle to listen, like a lot of us have our walls up and want to be able to prove something. And so it's rather than listening to someone, it's thinking about the next thought or the next thing we'll say or proving we're right, So communication is a massive thing. Taking intentional time together is another big thing. To build that emotional intimacy. Like, if you wouldn't just walk up to someone in the street that you've never spent time with and just start spilling your experiences to them and your emotions to them. You need to build that trust. And it's the same thing in relationship. So that's a huge thing as well. And then I would also say having non-objective time as well. So I know there's like intentional time, but then non-objective time where you play and experience things together. Like you do adventures and be a bit spontaneous. And I think we go one of two things, like we're either disconnected in relationships and not working on things, or the other side can be like, it's like heavy, like doing the work. Well, let's find some play in the middle and actually enjoy that time together and really reignite that spark that was once there. Or if you're new in relationship, tuning into your desires and what you enjoy together as a couple, because you only get one life. So experience it together, get to know each other on that next level. And then of course, like I said, communication and emotional intimacy too.
Amazing. I know that when you say like spending quality time together, like it was already an issue, but I feel like the pandemic sort of accelerated it in that there's a big difference to like being in the same house or even the same room and then like actively spending time together. Before it was just like a smartphone issue, but now it's, I have many friends who both are working from home and they just have separate offices and like sometimes they meet in the kitchen for lunch, but even that's like, so do you have any tips for, digital barriers or buffers for relationships?
Yeah, so I speak from experience again. Well, the dynamic for me is obviously the work I do, and then my husband has his own carpentry business. So it's different again in that we're not in the same space all the time, and we're fortunate enough not to be in lockdown right now here. But what I'll say, because there was a point where we were in the same house together all the time, but even in the dynamic that we have in our businesses, it's like that's where I said intentional time is so important, because it doesn't need to be like we spent hours together. We had like a date night that went all night. Like people have kids, people have things to do. You're busy, you've got stuff going on. But if you in your mind set an intention together that this time, like we're doing this for us, and you have a clear reason why, like whether it be physical intimacy you want to develop, whether it be you just want to communicate and have 5 minutes to talk about your day, and it's like, you know, set a timer. One way one person shares, the other way someone shares. It can be those micro moments that actually build the intimacy if you set an intention to do so, and it's not, for want of a better phrase, half-assed, and you're just doing it because, oh yeah, I'm married to this person, we coexist together. It's like, it's the intention behind, I want to see you, I want to be with you, I want to experience you. It's a different energy. And so in terms of like laptops and phones, we got to be disciplined and switch them off. Like you would go to a meeting, right? You wouldn't suddenly just like start doing a face mask, bubble bath. Like you would know how to present yourself and show up for work, right? So same thing in relationship. How do you want to show up for your partner? How do you want to show up and experience them? Not with a phone in your hand. I mean, that doesn't bring a lot of intimacy for me. And so be disciplined in putting that down and having that time together as well.
Definitely. So important. I'm curious, have you ever had couples, like do you usually work with the couple together, or one of the partners comes to you and you work with them? How does that work?
Yeah, so usually I start with women just from who I attract into my space. And then if it's necessary for us to bring their partner in, whether that be another woman or a man, we do so. The element is the person that usually, I like to phrase it like someone always steps out first, right? And it's usually in my space, the women that come and actually have that conversation first.
Doesn't surprise me, I guess.
Yeah, we're just a lot more like open in discussing things, I guess, based on what society's taught everyone, right?
Definitely. And have you ever had the sort of, I mean, how do you handle it when you feel like the person is coming to you, but after everything you've worked with them, or even just they've told you in the initial setting, you feel like they shouldn't be in that relationship? Have you had to face that issue?
Yeah. So obviously in our position, and you would know from different things you do as well with clients, like it's not our job to tell them what to do, right? But you can definitely see patterns. And for me, what is big is empowering. I actually did a podcast episode on my podcast about this too. I don't know if I explained it in this way. So this is like, I feel like I'm having a new download about it. I love it. But the way that I sort of explain it is like, I don't have the same map of the world and lens of the world as my clients, right? I'm not in their relationship. And you know, from things you share with people, you will only share so much because we hide things. You know, we have a lot of shame that we carry. And so it's not my space to make that judgment call, but my job is to empower women to actually take back their feminine power, step into their power, and really decide, like, what do I want for myself? And my vision is like, try and make the relationship work till you can't, right? Because I believe relationships can stay together and people can change. I do truly believe that. I've seen that happen with clients, and it's been incredible to watch them go from no intimacy, no connection, disconnected in the relationship, all about the kids, or even all about work, to then having date nights, open vulnerability, their partner crying and showing like vulnerability they've never seen before, and it becoming their new normal. So to answer your question, I feel like the biggest thing is within a woman, when I work with them predominantly, when they come, they go, I don't know if I want to be in my relationship anymore. I don't know if this can work. It's like, become the embodiment of what you desire in your relationship, and your partner will either come on board with you or they won't. You can't control them, you can't make them, but you can become the embodiment. And for me personally, my relationship, that's what happened. I was growing at a rapid rate when I started coaching. And so for me, it wasn't about controlling. Like, women will say to me, how do I make my partner do this? I'm like, you can't make him do anything. If anything, that makes it worse. So I started to just do these things for myself, like really love on me, really learn for me. And then as I shared snippets here and there, and I just created space for open invitation to talk and to get curious about why I was being different as a woman, he started to shift as well.
Love that. It's all about showing up 110% both sides, right? Not keeping tallies on things. So when you say, you said feminine power, how do you help your clients embody that?
Yeah, so this is like my jam. So for me, I think the biggest thing is reconnecting with self, reconnecting with emotions. We think that like finding power is finding something outside of ourselves, whether that be in like external things, like materialistic things, money, work will make me feel more powerful, like the person I'm dating will. No, it starts with you. And so the biggest part is connection to emotions. It's releasing the limiting beliefs, the stories, the childhood wounding that's holding them back from actually owning who they are. And for some people, it is rediscovering. And for other people, it's just deciding because they've never known. Like for me personally, I grew up needing to be the rescuer, the hero, the savior. And I never actually, like I was an adult before I needed to be an adult. And so I never really learned who Lauren is in her own power, in her own being. And so, like I said, for some, it's rediscovering it because it's always been there. And for other people, it's deciding and stepping into that next level self that is so connected to self, that loves herself unconditionally, that enjoys being with her, enjoys her own company, that has boundaries, that knows her needs, that understands her emotions. I know that's very broad, but it is a big question. So that's typically how I start with people. Yeah.
That's so amazing. It's like stepping back or tuning in rather than, reaching out for more.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that that's the biggest thing, like what you just said, is like people will look like outside, like I said, and when you say tuning in, it's like, how often do we as women tune in? It's like everyone else's needs, we're tuning into those, but it's like, how often do we actually tune into ourselves? And so it's not about finding something, it's about knowing it's laying there within you, it's dormant, and we need to wake it up, reclaim it,
Yes, love that. So can you tell us a little bit about how the ebb and flow of masculine, feminine power or energy works in relationship coaching?
Yeah, I love this question. So for those of you that don't know about masculine and feminine energy, the way that I like to explain it is the masculine is the outward. So it's the doing, it's the giving, it's the taking part in things, the achieving the goals. Think of it like the strong, rigid structure, the security, the safety, all of those things that really feel like outward power, right? Outward energy. The feminine is the flow. It's the receiving. It's the inward. It's the softening. It's the deep intuition and inner knowing. It's the love and connection. Equally, they're both powerful, but you can see one is more outward and one is more in the receiving, the grounding, the inner knowing. So in terms of that flowing within relationship, there's polarity in relationship within ourselves and then with our partner as well. And that doesn't matter if you are in a same-sex relationship or you're not. It's the same, right? We all have a balance of energy and we need that. Think of it like a battery to charge. You need a plus and a minus for it to work. You can't do the other way, right? And so same thing in a relationship. And so what this looks like, I'll speak from my own personal experience, is me being able to soften and receive from my masculine partner as he shows up, he leads, he takes action, he makes decisions. Then also knowing that I'm able to step into that role when he needs to soften and be in his emotions and have a moment, I can then take that on. So it's a beautiful dance between the two. Now, what I notice a lot in relationships is that there is two people, often in their masculine, and they're butting heads because they're both trying to take control. They're both trying to do all the things. They're both trying to prove something. And it's usually from that wounded masculine that there is no polarity. And so there's no chemistry. There's nothing more attractive to a masculine partner than the feminine opening and receiving. And it gives them permission to do that, to let their walls down, particularly if we're talking about men, particularly men. Like the difference in my relationship from when I was like fully in my masculine, walls up, guarded, versus now is that I actually am able to allow him to take the lead, and I'm able to soften and be like, cool, do these things for me. It's pleasurable. It's exciting. It's spontaneous. And it doesn't feel like such a push in the relationship anymore. Instead, it's a beautiful dance together. So I trust that sort of gives a little intro to that.
So amazing. Yeah, I think everyone can relate to that that it's a dance, and that, I feel like, what do you think? That really our entire, patriarchal culture or society is we're kind of raised to be in our masculine. And so, I mean, the more that I'm tuning into my feminine, which is quite frankly very recent in the last few years, and I'm, going to be 42 in April. It's still like I'm working on trusting that intuition that's okay to lean into that energy, because there's like a narrative that is all ongoing about I don't know. And I'm sure it's like even more interesting and complicated when couples have children, right? Because then there's all the like gender norms that kind of fall on top of that about who needs to be doing what. But then I guess just goes back to communication, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think, well, firstly, I want to just pause and validate, because you said amazing things within that. I want to say 42, amazing. Like, I have clients around the same age, even older, and it's like you're giving permission to other women that actually around this age that, there's a story that comes with that of like, oh no, like this is just my lot in life. This is just what I'm doing now. And it's like, no, like you get to feel pleasure at whatever age, and you get to feel really good and connected to self. So I love that so much. I'm celebrating you. And I also wanted to say, in terms of the narrative, the story, particularly in society, right? We are raised to protect ourselves. We're raised to prove ourselves. We're raised to, like, success is a measure of worth most of the time. And so it is breaking that norm, societal norm. It is, I will say, in society, it is being broken down a lot more now these days, particularly with what's happened as well with COVID and everything, because, people are having to stop and pause and slow down. But what I'll say around that is we get to determine like what our measures of worthiness is. And we also get to determine our standards in relationship and what our norm is. Like, looking at my relationship, I know from who we were before to now, we've lost a lot of friendships. People don't really understand how we are in relationship because it's so open, it's so vulnerable, and also it's really different in terms of like societal norms. Like, I don't really cook. I mean, I learn a lot from you, but I don't really cook. I don't really do the things that was perceived as like what we should do as women, right? So it's not about like what society says, what the stories are. We've got to leave them at the door. When you commit to have a conscious relationship where there is a balance of masculine and feminine, you get to redesign what that looks like for you as a couple, right? And so it is breaking down those norms and breaking down the stories and deciding for yourself, like, who do I want to be in this relationship? How do I want to feel? And that's where it comes all the way back to what we were saying at the start around, like, where do we start with all this? Well, let's look within ourselves. Like, what do you actually desire? Do you desire to be the mum that's on all the time? Or do you want a nanny and some help so that you can be a badass boss babe and then turn around and be that soft, sexy, sensual woman with your partner later on in the night? Like, you can bounce between all roles and wear different hats, but some people like to take on the identity and say, look at me, I'm struggling. And it's like, struggle's not required if you decide it's not. But it's just understanding you've got to break that and get the resources and support where you need to help you be more connected within yourself and your relationship. I feel like that was a bit of a TED Talk rant, but trust it was valuable.
Awesome. But I mean, I still feel like one of the narratives I have is that oftentimes when I'm leaning more into my feminine edge, although it sounds like the wrong side, it's weakness. Like, I can't think of I'm trying to think of an example. Well, I mean, let's do it in business terms. So when I'm taking the break, or, knowingly I need to walk away or do something, or I need to meditate, so it's like I have it wrapped up in a wellness bubble, if you will, but there's still that narrative of like, or you could be doing this, or you should be doing this, or da-da-da-da. And it's this ebb and flow that I feel like I'm getting better at juggling it, partly because it's also my practice is helping not only women, but also men take that time, and sort of, and I think a lot of that tuning in and taking a break and like realizing what you are actually capable, or what's a healthy level of whatever you're taking on. That's kind of leaning into your feminine. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Balance is a massive thing and boundaries is a massive thing. And as you were speaking about that, like, firstly, I want to validate that experience of feeling like it's a weakness and it's a flaw. Like, that is so common, right? And this is why it's my mission to like change that narrative. And that's why I call it feminine power, because I really want to create that neural pathway of like, it's powerful. It's not, one is not over the other in terms of power and in terms of like success and all of the things, right? And so what I want to say in that is it is boundaries. It is understanding what you need. And if we go like a level deeper, if it's cool with you, if we think about like our why in the world, let's talk actual people in like business. Okay. We start our own businesses. I'll take that as an example. And we have a why for why we want to serve. Now, if you are so about serving and showing up and giving, how do you want to show up and give? Do you want to show up and give from a place of, I'm depleted, but I'm doing it because I should, and it's on my to-do list and I'm going to get it done? Or do you want to show up in an energy of, I am so excited about this. I'm so lit up. I'm here to serve. I'm so passionate. I'm so turned on by this idea. I'm so in flow and I want to give in this space. I know for me personally, the success I have, it's not coming from the just do it. Nothing, like the post will flop. There won't be client, like the discovery calls won't go well, like whatever it may be, right? In business, same as a mum. Do you want to show up in the energy with kids of, I just got to do it. Like, I've got to get little Johnny to school and like, come on, put your shoes on. Let's do this. And I've got to do this craft for them and get this ready. Or is it, oh my God, I get to do this and it feels really good because I've had time for me. I feel energized and I feel ready to take on this with so much love and so much commitment, rather than it being from an energy of, I have to do this. It's really different.
Yeah. I love how you broke that down. Yeah. And I mean, I feel that, all across my life. So that's, I mean, it's like, you know it on, like, I personally know it on an intellectual level. And then I feel like I'm getting a lot better over the last several years, but you know, it's like, I feel like it's a practice. It's still a practice of bringing it back to, but I love that you're redefining it as feminine power. So yeah. One last question I wanted to ask you is, I mean, I have met so many incredible women just this last year, probably thanks to COVID. I feel like so many women turn to social media to start projects or businesses or just connect. And maybe it's because we live in this internet bubble, but I really feel like there is some sort of feminine power revolution, like dramatic change happening worldwide. What are your thoughts?
I 100% feel that. Like, yes, the online space, definitely you feel like you're in your own bubble. And I guess the algorithm has something to do with that in terms of like, I can thank it for that I just see so many powerful women like really stepping into and owning who they are. And I see that a lot. I just think we froze. Are we all good?
Yeah, we're back.
Yep. Awesome. So I see a lot of women in the online space stepping into their power. And like I said, that's, you know, so thankful to the algorithm for that. And I do think it is a revolution. It's a massive movement. Like, we are redefining what it means to be a woman, to stand in your power, to own your worth, to be able to go after the things that you want. And I was saying this before in another podcast episode, actually. And so I love that it's so divinely aligned, which shows again how much it's happening, is that we actually, there's so much opportunity these days for us to speak up and speak out, more so than ever before. Like, us doing this right now would not have been okay, like how long ago? And so this is such a big deal. And I think we get to leverage that and then support people that are still not having a voice, still not able to have a voice, and helping them to step into that. And whether that be through like the work I do, whether that's through the work you do and empowering people, it's all us elevating. And it's elevating whether it is the female working on herself, stepping into that, or whether it's a male understanding that women have a place in this world as well, and they get to step up to, and we are equal. And that's why I love talking about the energies, because how do you segregate between the two when we all have both energies within us, and we all have a soul that's here for a purpose in this world? I feel like I just took that super deep, but yeah.
Oh my God, I have chills. I love it. I feel like a buzz of energy. It was amazing. So what is your podcast called? Remind us and the audience.
Yes, it's called Loved and Liberated.
Loved and Liberated. And how is it best that people find you? Where are you hanging out most on social these days?
Yeah, so I mean, Clubhouse is taking a lot of my energy lately, and so that's definitely a place. But what place I would say most people can find me, find my work, binge like my content is through the podcast, obviously, or on Instagram. Come over to Instagram at Lauren Johnston with 3 underscores, and they can come over there. There's lots going on there. I'm always showing up on stories and lots of different posts that will explain this information in depth as well.
Amazing. And if they wanted to work with you, should they go through your website or through Instagram?
Yeah, so either. The best is probably to go through Instagram DMs, just send me a message. I'm pretty relaxed and love to just build that connection first off the bat. So definitely head over to Instagram and send me a DM and we can have a chat and I can see what I can support you with.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. It was an amazing conversation.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I just adore you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for listening to Energetically You. I hope that this episode has helped you to tune into your natural energy sources so that you feel more energized and focused throughout your day. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a second to rate and review. Each review helps us to help more ambitious women just like you accomplish their goals. Don't forget to take a screenshot, share it on social, or in your Instagram stories and tag me at Megan Swan Wellness. See you soon.